This episode is sponsored by Shutterstock.com. With over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER6. This episode is also brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast, episode 75 for June 19th, 2013. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. I know it doesn't sound like me, but yes, it is Gary Gannon speaking. I'm a little under the weather, as you can tell from my voice. This is not a voice chat, font, voice changer, whatever it is. I don't know. We got a whole lot to talk about this week. Joining me, as always, Mr. Richie Procopio. How are you, sir?
My voice is better than yours.
It is. It's much better. I'm going to need some help today, sir. I'm counting on you.
I will do my best.
And with terrible internet beaming in from some cave somewhere, how are you? It looks a little better today so far. Better than my voice.
Oh, wow. No breaking. Hold up now.
Like
is your internet finally fixed?
I think you're good.
It finally upgraded?
I think it upgraded. And joining us for the first time, I think the internet knows you as Grouch, Mr. Josh Davis. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming on the show. I guess we should start off by I'm going to throw it to you and put you on the hot seat. For maybe people who don't know who you are, who are you? What do you do? Why are you on the show? Let everybody know. Tell the world.
Okay. So I host State of the Game, which has been going on since last December-ish, kind of a monthly podcast type of thing. We like John Sharp, Carl McLean, just some sort of dev, and we kind of just talk about where the game's headed and the what we should expect in terms of development and whatnot. Kind of always just been a big proponent of the PvP side of the game. I'll be completely honest, I don't know a lot about the PvE portion of this game.
That is perfect, because we have two other hosts on here who know a lot about the PvE side of the game and know very little about the PvP side of the game. So that's why we invited you on the show, sir. See how
that's
it works.
Perfect, man. I leveled to 80 via crafting, and I've done level 4 fractals once. So that's about it.
So you're super hardcore. You're all about the PvP. That's it. You're just like, that is the game for you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I'm looking forward to it though. Like once I get bored of PvP, I've got a whole game to explore. It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to playing Guild Wars 2 eventually. It's gonna be great.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be a great game sometime in 2016 when you get around to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad we have nothing to talk about with PvP today, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit over here and be quiet. I'll look pretty for you guys, and that's about it.
I'm just going to let you guys talk for 45 minutes, because it's obvious that my voice is completely shot, and I didn't even realize, for people out there, I didn't even realize my voice was this bad 2 minutes before the show. I haven't spoken pretty much all day, except a couple times to in work chat, and then we got on the show, and I'm like, holy crap, my voice is gone. So, Dragon Bash. There you go. Yep. I'll start with topics. You guys make words. I will suck down tea and bee pollen while everybody talks about Guild Wars 2. So, Richie, what's up? It landed. How's the event been? Did a real dragon actually attack? What's going on?
No dragon attack. No dragon attack so far. Yeah, so it's a cool holiday. The Lion's Arch is completely decorated. The mists are completely decorated. There's lots of there's a few mind-numbing achievements in there with just click on 1,000 pinatas. It's not really 1,000, but click on a bunch of pinatas and eat a bunch of candy and stuff like that. But there are some cool activities too. The Dragon Ball deathmatch arena thing seems to be very popular. Going around the world and hunting for the emitters so that you have a chance at getting dragon coffers. So you have a small, tiny, teeny chance of getting some cool weapon skins. And the last couple of days, we've had some updates to the Living Story too, little solo instances and stuff like that. So it looks, so we were only a week into Dragon Bash, and we already have some new stuff to do yesterday and some new stuff to do today. So it's pretty cool.
Was Lion's Arch all dialed up all nice for like it was for Winter's Day?
Yeah, absolutely. They changed the Mystic Forge into this huge dragon that's breathing fire, and the central fountain is now a hologram emitter that actually it shoots an image of the Shatterer, a holographic image of the Shatterer in the sky. But what's really cool, the animation is all synced up so that the emitter turns as the dragon like flies around the city and stuff like that. So it's very well done. It's a really cool vibe in town right now.
Matt, how would you compare it to the to other holiday events?
Well, the first thing to mention is that there's no jumping puzzles. I mean, come on. No jumping puzzles, ArenaNet. What was going on with that? You always have to have a jumping puzzle with a holiday. But other than that, it's been pretty cool. I mean, for these events, it seems to be the skins is what's important. And the new bat wings, well, they're both dragon, but the bat wings and then the Shatterer wings are pretty awesome. I got my Shatterer wings today, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Josh is like, I don't care any about this stuff. I just want to hit people in the face with big things.
you know, man, they decorated the mist too. I was waiting for my chance of like, actually, I know something about this. They got a dragon thing inside of the mist now. It's pretty cool. It's made out of wood or something. I don't really know much about it, but I can climb it.
Wood.
I could stand on top of the dragon and no one else can, so it's pretty cool. That's about it.
Rich, you talked about the Dragon Ball Z minigame. What's it like?
It's a small, tight-knit map, but it's got a lot of jump platforms and a lot of little secret passages and stuff like that. And all of the power-ups that spawn are in specific places, so you can learn the map and learn where the power-ups are and start to really take advantage of it. And what's cool is you can unlock all these different abilities and power-ups, but they only last until you die. So it's just this fast-paced, like throwing these dragon orbs at people, team deathmatch thing. It's actually quite fun. Now the downside is a lot of people. One of the achievements that people are going for is just playing a certain number of games. Right? If you just play a certain number of games, I forget what it is. Is it 20? Is it 50 or 25?
20.
Like that?
It's 20.
It's 20. So a lot of people are queuing up for this and going AFK, and it ruins the experience because there's just people just standing there. And I've seen that quite a lot. And that's the only downside to it that I can see. Well, the other downside is you can't really queue up with your friends, right?
Right.
It's like the other like activities and stuff. And I kind of understand why they do that because it's meant to just be a fun little mini game thing. And if you could just queue up with a pre-made or whatever and just stomp people that are queuing solo, I mean that would be a less fun experience for others. But at the same time, it stinks to want to actually go in there and do something with your friends. I wish there was some solution they could come up with for that. So besides those two things, it's a really fun game. I wish it was something that would stick around because it's very amusing.
What's going on?
If it sticks around, it definitely has to be like they could fix that problem because playing with friends with Dragon Ball would be awesome to do, very awesome to do. And also about the 20 played achievements, that doesn't actually count for your Shatterer wings. That's what people are going for, unless they're just going for points, which I mean. People just do that, but that actually doesn't count. Both of them don't count, and that's one thing I learned. And I was like, okay, there's no point to really doing that.
What? Of course, there's a point. You need to fill all those bars. Those achievement bars need to be full. Every single one of them. I've looked at every single one of the holiday, all of the living story and everything. I have all those achievements, and I can't have just one that's blank. It would drive me crazy. My OCD would kick in. I'd go. It would just be not a good thing.
Josh, you have all of those achievements filled in, right? Properly. Yeah.
Oh man, it sounds fun. I haven't done it though. I've actually. This is so sad. I've left the mists one time, and it was to buy unidentified dies with my laurels that I've gotten rather.
I like this guy already. I really do. I like him.
I'm such a spoil sport, man. Like, don't even ask me questions. I'll just sit here. I'm so boring.
I got questions. I got questions for you. Don't worry. But tell me about the MOA racing and the gambling. How is that all working?
Oh gosh, 50 silver to bet on one MOA, and there's like 5 MOAs. So what happens is that you have your 5 MOAs, you bet on it for a minute time period. And once it starts, you have all 5 MOAs race out. And you can actually see it, It's not what we talked last time where you don't see it at all. And, it's not like the cow shooter as in Desert Plateau. So you actually see the MOAs racing. But what happens is, at a certain part for 3 MOAs, get a speed boost. And then, one of them will automatically come in first, one of them will automatically come in second, and one of them will automatically come in third. If you get the MOA that's in first place, you get 100, no, not, what am I saying? A 1 gold, 40 silver, second place is 60 silver, and third place is 20 silver. So you can see how that adds up. At least if you get second place, you get 10 silver. So yeah, it's 1 in 5 chance. I can't do it. I can't do it. I've wasted so much gold doing that. So much.
I was streaming this the other day, and I was letting the chat room pick which one to bet on. They were right 3 out of 4 races, and I quit. I was like, I'm done. I got my achievement. Chat room is the ringer. They were awesome.
You're like, I'm out.
The funny thing about it is how much hate people have for specific birds. I mean, if you look at the forums and even like the chat room right now, people are like meep or whatever. Like people hate a specific bird with a passion.
It's funny. A dev tweeted, I think it was John Ryan, that he says, looking at the forums, I think I should add in a fried MOA stand next to the MOA racing. So I just laughed at that. Oh gosh, I wonder how that tastes like.
Chicken, probably like chicken, I'm assuming. Yes.
Probably like flamingo. I don't know.
Have you had flamingo?
No, I haven't.
It tastes like shrimp.
It probably would taste like shrimp.
Speaking of forums, so the second highest rated thread on the Guild Wars 2 Reddit is actually people complaining about the fireworks display. But the real question here, Josh, is how much do you hate these Care Bears?
Don't put me on the spot, man. I don't hate them. I want them to come into my area, though. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about fireworks. Seriously, give me a state. What's going on in PvP right now? Fill me in. Like, we haven't talked about PvP in a while. We haven't really been keeping up on it as much. So you're on the show. You're new. This is all you really care about. Like, where is it at right now? Because it's kind of had a rocky start from the launch, right? We've been waiting for a lot of different things. Where are you at now? Yeah, man. It was so I'll try to make this quick as possible. So like right out of the gate back in August, like everyone was like, esports, like we're going big, man. We're gonna do this. And I think I made it till November with my team that I was playing with. I was playing for TPNA, and we pretty much everyone just quit. We said this isn't going anywhere, so we all quit. I ended up coming back a month later just to host State of the Game. I was a little jaded at the time, but I came back and I've got a better outlook on things now. But it was really rough from, I would say, November up until probably February. Probably until February. Really rough time.
What were the main points that were being so rough, though? Like, was it the other systems like leaderboards and spectator and all that kind of stuff?
There was no incentives for teams to stay. There was no incentives for players to come in. And actually, there's still no incentives for players to come in and play the game. That's one of the big problems they have right now. Is there's no rewards. Like I talked to him. We suggested putting laurels in. We got that put in, but it still doesn't draw people to PvP enough. Really, the only time that it did was when they had that bug right when they put them in, where people get double monthly laurels. If you guys remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys do. Everyone's like, yeah, dude.
All the PvE guys went over there like, yeah, free laurels. Let's do it.
All the PvP guys remember too, because we started losing a lot of games in solo queue, getting matched up with these rank ones constantly. But yeah, it's getting better. The main thing that kind of kicked it into gear, I guess, was putting spectator mode and custom arenas in. And so it's doing a lot better. We had a really good kick right at the beginning, right when that came out. Like we did the Curse, Mess of the Mist, we did Kings of Beta, MMORPG. We had a really great couple weeks there. I think it was about 4 weeks in a row. Where we had like 4K viewers like every weekend on these events, which is freaking awesome for this game. Like it was amazing. I think we're kind of in a lull period right now again, because we don't have any of those big tournaments happening right now. One of the main problems with this game is that I think there's no like longevity or like it's hard to articulate this. We only have spike views on Twitch during these events, but there's no views. Like look at GuildCast right now. Like the views for GuildCast right now are equal to what Guild Wars usually has during the week total. Like it usually caps at like 300 viewers. And that's the problem. There's no incentive for people to try to get into PvP. There's no incentive for really anything. And we need to bring. I think there needs to be some core gameplay changes, like solo queue being added in the next month or so, or whenever that's going to be, is going to help out quite a bit. But we still need those core changes before we can go, quote unquote, what people want esports.
Do you really think that the game has the potential? I mean, obviously, if there's certain changes put in there, but do you think it could really catch on to, like, because I know what you're talking about. It's like there's no real big personalities on Twitch kind of like doing, Guild Wars 2 stuff. They're usually on like the WoW stuff. And then you don't have any of the pro players. So, and if there's not a tournament going, there's not a whole lot just except watching people play Guild Wars 2, which just for the most part isn't that exciting. So why are you guys holding out so much on Guild Wars 2? What is it about the game that's making you like hold out for so long? Like why haven't you moved on to another game?
I get asked that all the time, man. Like, just like for what I've tried to do with the game and stuff, people say like, your efforts would be so much better in another game. But I actually just like this game, man. Like the core mechanics of this game, the actual just base gameplay. Take out like all of like the wanting leaderboards, wanting tournaments, wanting quote unquote esports. It's a great game. Like it's awesome gameplay. It's the best PvP I've ever played in a game for an MMO, anyways. And I think if ArenaNet just kind of gets their stuff together, in the next couple months, I think this game could go far. I won't say necessarily we're not going to see it like main stage MLG. I don't think that's going to happen. But I really just want to see a competitive game come out of this. I don't really care about esports. People throw that term around all the time. I don't like the term because I don't think it fits with our game right now. Maybe in the future, but right now I think we should just focus on getting the foundation laid and just getting this game moving slowly.
That's the same problem with PvE. I mean, they need to change a lot of the core mechanics because a lot of people complain that there's not much to do because what will happen is a new event will come out, then all of a sudden when the new event ends, we go back to playing other games. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not incentive to stay playing the game after if you have beaten everything. Like,
is that because of the lack of progression, of gear progression?
Some people like the gear progression. Some people kind of like it that they don't have to come back to it. It's one of those pro-con thing. It's just like, should ArenaNet go that area where you have to log in and get this and get that just to, be beast and always stay beast? It's they have a hard plate. Let me tell you. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It's not. All right, I'm not making the game. But man, they have a massive plate. When this year goes by, I really hope that they implement something that really keeps PvE players playing the game even after the event comes up. Once we get our wings, it's like, okay, what do we go back to doing? And that's what they need to put in the game. Something permanent for the game,
Grouch, what happened the other day with the Miss League versus the ArenaNet devs? How did that whole thing go down? I remember seeing something about that.
Dude, actually, it was really fun. So for those who don't know, we're doing something called Miss League. It's set up by Aussie, and I've kind of jumped on. I'm taking more of like an organizational role right now, just trying to get the league moving. But we're looking to be like the first league in this game that actually has people coming together and playing, competitively, like a really good level. Something that's a little bit like something gives people something to look forward to every week as well. Like for right now, like I said before, we don't have these weekend tournaments always, and so there's now a lot of stuff to look forward to. So we're just trying to make something that's going to be a little bit more long term. But anyway, so to spark the beginning of this league, we had a matchup versus some ArenaNet devs. So it was me, pardon me. Sorry, Gasmask, I know he's in chat. I just read your name. It was me, Hegemony, Blinks, oh man, I'm spacing it right now, SupCutie, and Follow-This. Most of those guys are from AL, or Absolute Legends, and Blinks is from Team Doesn't Matter, and then Hedge is from Miss League as well. And we faced up against ArenaNet. They had Power, John Cochran, I'm spacing out right now. They had sorry man,
it's okay, I put him on the spot.
We also had they had Power, they had Sharp, and they had Carl, and we went best of 3, and we ended up taking the wins, but they did beat us out first round. Really good. They did actually played really well. Surprised. I think a lot of people were really excited. Like going into it, a lot of people were like nervous, like we're gonna lose faith in ArenaNet when they get stomped, but they put up a good fight. It was good. They know their game. They know their game.
Yeah, but the players usually know the game better.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are most of the PvP guys, so I was really hoping they came and showed us what's up, and they definitely did. So big props to them.
That's awesome.
What's going on? So it looks like the next update is coming out on June 25th, which again is just a stupidly, amazingly good content cadence of Arena just putting out more and more content. What, Richie? What do you expect the update to be about?
Well, like today, so yesterday they had a effigy lighting ceremony in Lion's Arch where they were basically kicking off Dragon Bash by having all these cultural leaders throw these different mementos into the effigies, and they were going to light them on fire and kind of try to heal old wounds and just come together as the races of Tyria. And something went wrong, and it looks like some sabotage happened, and one of the people that was up there, one of the council members or whatever, got killed. So there was a couple new story instances that were added to the game today. By the way, I'll just say real quick, there was this, as part of this investigation of figuring out what happened, there was a new cutscene put in today in a brand new style. It was like a film noir kind of style to it. It wasn't like the two like paper doll talking lip flap people that we're used to. It was really well done. I see a lot of cool feedback on the forums.
What do you think of it?
I think it's the best cinematic that they've done. It's really cool. It's got a really nice style to it, and it's got that whole it's perfect for like a detective type thing. And
I was going to say, does it feel like something that they can actually like replicate and keep up for the long, or does it only kind of sort of fit this cutscene?
It only fits this type of thing. Like it's kind of like that. Was it Sin City? When there's a detective part and it was like black and white, and then Logan walks in and he's like, "Oh, I was never here," and blah blah blah, and he like walks away. It was like really cool. And then I wish I would see if they had a living story based on this type of style and you follow this detective. That would be pretty cool. I would definitely follow that. This would probably be one of the first living story that I actually pay attention to, and actually read all the text, because I'm really interested based on the voice acting and the cutscene.
Yeah, the cutscene style of the noir would probably only fit this, but they could still do that kind of comic booky style and apply it to other things. So I think they've struck a chord with this, and I'd like to see them continue to develop down this line for their living story content, because it was really well done.
I think weird is good.
But yeah, but so as part of this, this new faction, these ether blades, right? These sky pirates suddenly like came out and attacked you during some of these little instances. So it looks like, and we're trying to investigate the cultural leaders that were there at the event to figure out which one of them might have had a hand in this murder. So it looks like next week on the 25th or whatever, we're going to get more content, and hopefully we get to figure out who's behind this and what is this new ether blade faction that we're starting to see. So they look pretty cool. Sky Pirates.
Uh-oh.
Did you mute yourself, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Brain, voice isn't working, brain's not working. It's a whole package today. Going back to Dragon Bash really quick. Man, it's got to be so annoying to listen to me right now, and either it sounds really cool or it just sounds really terrible. But
let's go with really cool, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What kind of loot are we looking at? Any worthwhile loot in the Dragon Bash update? Anything cool?
Yes.
There's the skins, which is the skins that you get from the boxes, of course, which I haven't had any luck getting. But there are also the two dragon covers, which is the Batwing one and the Shattered Wing one, which are relatively easy to get. You either get it from drops with the Batwing one, or you trade in 100,000 candies, or you can buy it from the trading post for about, I think it's cheap, like 13 gold right now. And then the Shattered Wings are pretty easy to get. All you gotta do is get 8 achievements. They switched it from 10.
How much of the cool stuff is tied to the gem store?
Well, the weapons that we're talking about, these Dragon's Jade weapon skins, they are awesome looking, but you get them at a really small drop rate on these dragon coffers, which you can farm or buy on the trading post. You don't need to spend any gems on them. There's a slightly better chance of them dropping out of the rich dragon coffer chests, which you buy from the gem store. So there's still random number generator impact here. I've opened, I don't know, 500, 600 of the normal dragon coffers, haven't gotten a weapon ticket. But I haven't spent any money on the rich ones yet. I've seen varying degrees of success. I've seen some videos where they open up 35 of them and they get 1, and I've seen some videos where they open up about the same and get none. So it's still a pretty small drop rate, but the skins do look awesome.
Yeah.
Is the RNG strong?
I want
in
the
this
sword
one?
and the dagger.
Yeah, the RNG is strong in this one.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is that horn thing from this event, or is that just something added to the gym store?
It's from the event.
Oh, that thing's amazing. No. The actual Vuvuzela thing.
Yeah.
That thing's awesome.
The instrument. There's a new
Oh.
instrument on the gem store where you can play notes.
Any-
It's just like the bells, but you can actually hold the notes. And so there's a bunch of videos going around where you just stand next to someone and just go.
That's what it was. I was wondering what that was.
Reminds
I
me
was
of
like
Dumb
doing
and
my achievements, and I heard, I'm like,
Dumber.
what is that? And I was like, I had to take off my headphones. Like, what?
Yeah. No,
Eh.
there's already feedback all over the forums. We need to be able to mute other people's instruments.
The mists are terrible right now. It's just a bunch of trolls sitting around holding it down all day long. Like it reminds me of that Dumb and Dumber where they're like, you know what the most annoying sound in the world is, and he just makes that really long screech. Oh, that's a really nice impression, Gary. That's nice.
I was gonna say it sounds like a troll's, just like a griefer's dream right here. I want to get one of those.
Yeah.
All right, I want to ask you some more about some PvP stuff, but first I want to tell you guys about Shutterstock. If you guys have not checked it out, go over to shutterstock.com, make a new account. We're going to get you guys 30% off on your new account. If you guys have a video project or a website or some sort of any kind of project where you maybe need like some sort of art assets or video, mostly photos and vectors and all kinds of good stuff, I'm telling you, Shutterstock is where it's at. We use it every day here at Gamebreaker TV. We're working on a couple new websites. So here I was looking for some more silhouette icons and stuff for our website, and I found these cool like wizards and all this kind of stuff, which is really awesome. How cool is that, right? Just all kinds of video footage. We needed some stock. This little guy is making an appearance all over the website pretty soon. He might be our new Gamebreaker mascot right there.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great, right? So if you're making a website or if you got a project and you need some creative assets, you're not an artist. I'm not an artist. You just go over to Shutterstock, make an account, get 30% off on your account. You got to use promo code Gamebreaker6. Got to use the promo code Gamebreaker6. Going to get yourself 30% off on your account. You can download all of the stock footage, photos, photography, vectors. So much great creative stuff over there by amazing artists. It's just endless how much stuff is on here. I mean, look at some of these drawings. I mean,
I like the bunny. Oh, look at that guy. That guy's holding a
That guy's
fish.
creepy. What is that? Like
it's like a Yeti
Yeah,
holding a
dude.
fish.
that's not
Yeah.
a Yeti. What is
That's
that?
not-
It's like a
that's-
salamander thing. I don't know what that thing is.
I like that guy. I found a gamer. I know why these are showing up because the same artist drew some gamer and it would crack me up, and I saved it somewhere. Let me see if it's in my where are my light boxes here? Where did I save him? I saved him somewhere. Yeah, this guy.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good interpretation, of course. Yeah.
Alien.
feeling pretty good
That's
right
what
now.
gamers look like.
Really great stuff. Whatever kind of creative project you have, you need artwork, you need assets, you need video footage, you need photos, go over to shutterstock.com, use promo code Gamebreaker6, get yourself 30% off today. So Colin Johanson, I guess he still doesn't have enough work to do, so he's been chilling out on the forums, just, kind of hanging. He talked a little bit about fractals. I'm going to let Richie read this to you because his voice sounds so much better than mine.
Okay, it says, we feel like our fractal dungeons is the perfect fit for this kind of historical experience. All right, so basically what they're talking about, that people are talking about the living story stuff that's limited time content, and they brought up, hey, why don't you make a historian in like Lion's Arch or whatever, so that you can click on it and replay or view some of the old cutscenes you might have missed. So his response was, we feel like the Fractals dungeon is the perfect fit for this kind of historical experience, similar to the way the BMP worked in Guild Wars 1. Even better, it already exists and has explanations behind why these slices of time are available to discover and experience within. In the future, you'll see certain types of content that was part of larger story experiences be updated to work within the Fractals dungeon and return there where it makes sense to do so.
All right, so my first question, somebody fill me in. What was BMP in the original Guild Wars?
It's the bonus mission pack. It's basically what the original thread person was trying to get at. There was a historian in Guild Wars 1 that you could, after you purchased this pack, or some people got rewarded it. These were like little instances, solo instances that you could replay, and you got to play as different characters in the game and go through a slice of Guild Wars history, right? You got to experience what happened to this character. But so there was a historian in game that you can go and click on and view these stories and stuff like that. So that's where the suggestion came from. Hey, put the historian back in Guild Wars 2, and click on him, and hey, you can look at stuff from the Flame and Frost story arc, or you can experience something that's not in the game anymore. So that's where this whole idea came from. And they said that their answer is more towards putting stuff into Fractals.
Matt, you fan of that whole kind of concept about they kind of make an area and kind of literally do anything that they want with it?
I actually think that's a really good idea. So, like some of the fan favorites, like, oh, I like what you did with this living story, and then they can kind of like vote that on the forums, like, oh wow, we really want the Flame and Frost dungeon, the Molten Dungeon weapons lab to be good, because I really liked the first part of the dungeon where you drill a hole through the wall and stuff. I thought that was really cool, and that would be a good, I don't know how they would put such a humongous dungeon inside of Fractals. They would have to kind of condense it a bit and make it a little bit smaller, maybe just the first part, because the first part was the best part, and of course the boss fight. I don't know how they would do that, but I think it's a good idea for them to do that. The best content in there. If SAB wasn't coming back, then I would have said, throw that in there too in some weird way, but that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah. This is the whole holodeck concept, right? I've mentioned this before, but on the Star Trek show, the producers and the writers, they put the holodeck in so that if they wanted to do something crazy or go someplace completely different, they could always just throw it in the holodeck. So the the Fractals is Guild Wars 2 way of handling this. You had the Caverns of Time in World of Warcraft that handled this, right? And it's just a good way for designers to get a little bit of freedom. I used to run Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, and I used to have like this mirror, right, that the players can kind of go through, and anytime, like if we weren't in the Arctic at the time, no problem, go through the mirror, now you're in the Arctic, and you kind of explain away any kind of story. So it's convenient. Somebody who's more of a purist might be like, oh, I hate these kind of things because it just it doesn't really make sense, but they kind of tie it into the mists can act in mysterious ways, and plus mists plus Asura technology, we can do anything we want in the game.
I'm just going to interject and just jam PvP questions in here into the middle of our PvE conversation.
Dude, I have a Colin story if you want. Sure. We're talking about Colin.
That's
right. Colin story. And I'm going to bring it full circle back to PvP, so we're getting there. So for Master of the Mist NA, I think it was. I don't remember which one it was. One of the ones I was shoutcasting on. Colin actually watched the entire thing from a Mariners game.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so I thought it was cool, man. Like, what's his official? He's like president of ArenaNet, right? Is that his Colin's official title? No. What's Colin's job?
Somebody look it up the other day. Chat room will tell us.
He changed name.
He did change.
Something else.
Game director.
Game director. Okay.
That's right.
So anyway, producer, game director, something like that. Anyways, so long story short, the game producer, director guy sat at a Mariners game, watching our stream. At a baseball game, for people who don't know who the Mariners are. He's at a Mariners game watching our stream on his cell phone. He said he actually got a crowd around him asking about what was going on because he was just totally fixated on the tournament. Just a little bit of dedication, I think. Taken and worked with him to a Mariners game.
They're at a sporting event. He's watching Guild Wars 2. And people are like, what are you watching? He's like, I'm watching some tournament.
It's like the seventh inning stretch, and he's like, yes! Cheering, and everyone's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. His son probably wanted to go to the state, go to see the Mariners, and he's just sitting there. The son's like, yeah, the game, dad. He's just watching Guild Wars. Oh, that's
at a sporting event, watching an e-sporting event. That's like Inception style. I don't even know.
Meta. So meta.
So meta, exactly.
So Josh, what do you talking a little bit more about PvP and stuff? What do you think? So we talked a little bit about what ArenaNet needs to do as far as systems go and stuff like that. But what do you think is the most important thing right now for PvP to actually work in Guild Wars 2? Is it pretty much all on ArenaNet's plate to do some changes, or is it really the community who kind of needs to rally around it as well, or is it a combination of both?
Well, it's both, man. Right now the community's doing a really good job of coming around and trying to get everything going. There's so many tournaments popping up. A lot of people trying to do leagues, a lot of people just getting more involved with it. It's really awesome. PvP forums active as ever. I would say down to only about 75% QQ threads, which is great for the PvP community here. I think it's going to be on both though, and the reason why is because in order for PvP to be successful, and especially in the quote-unquote esports market, is that it needs to cater to casuals or maybe not as hardcore players. It needs to cater to a wider audience. We need to make PvP interesting for PvEers without making it required to be successful in the game. That's why we tried bringing in the laurels, giving people more of an option to experience both if you wanted to. But I think we're still seeing most people opt for the actual PvE dailies rather than going to PvP. I mean, what do you guys do?
I agree with that because I'm mostly PvE, right? But when I played World of Warcraft, I would do arenas and battlegrounds. When I wasn't raiding, I had fun doing both of those. And in Star Wars: The Old Republic, I did almost all PvP, and I'm talking about the level 10 to 49 bracket. At max level, I didn't like it, but I really liked it. So I can be drawn to PvP if it's compelling and I feel it's rewarding. As a PvE, as someone who just dabbles in it, I don't feel like in Guild Wars 2 it's rewarding at all. I jump in there, I fool around a little bit, and I do think that that you're right, that in order to gain, get more people in there, they need to have things like you mentioned before, like the solo queue and different things like that. And there needs to be more of a reward system in place.
I definitely think that some more game types would be nice as well. I mean, there's only one game type. I think if they add more game types, like I made a video with just messing around with the custom arena and ended up creating some really cool stuff. Like, I would like to see more of that, and that would definitely bring people in, even if it's not, meta game type. Like just those fun little PvP games in there. Maybe some of the mini games that they had in PvE, kind of slide into PvP and get people at least in there. Actually, like, all right, let's try some real PvP or some other game types.
I guess the reason I'm asking that, Josh, too, is because, like, you're talking about in-game items, and I kind of was trying to get inside. I'm really curious to understand, like, what the hardcore PvPers want and, like, what you're sort of looking for as far as, like, how to elevate this to the next level. Because we had here at Gamebreaker, we all thought, PvP was going to be a really huge thing in Guild Wars 2, and like you said, it fluttered a little bit. So now I'm looking at it going, like, is it the in-game sort of incentive, or is it actually the out of game incentive and being sort of like the notoriety of being on like websites and being known of like, hey, we're the best group, and people are talking about us and there's coverage and things like that. So it's like, I'm trying to sort of understand like, hey, how can we help? Because I kind of want to be a part of the whole esports thing in Guild Wars 2, but we haven't really touched it too much. So is it more about like getting an in-game perk, or is it more about somebody actually paying attention to what's going on and saying like, hey, these guys are awesome and they're doing a great job and here's a tournament and all these kinds of things?
I think for the people that are already PvPing like on a daily basis, because a lot of people I've been playing with for 9 months on end and we haven't quit. For those guys, like, most of the stuff is fine. We just want to see more competition come into the game. We want to see more teams form. But I think the problem and why we're not seeing more people coming into the game from the other side is that sense of progression is limited to PvP only. So you come in, you do your dailies. You can get your laurels, which is really the only connect you have between the different game types. But once you go back into PvE, you've gained nothing. There's no level progression. I guess you can get those titles if you want, but they're really hard to attain just with the ranking system. There's just not a lot of connection between the two different game types.
And somebody brought this up in chat. Somebody wrote this up in chat. And it's kind of what I was thinking. I was going to ask you. Do you think that the game needs some sort of elo / bronze, through diamond sort of, levels as well, like League of Legends?
Well, there is a matchmaking system in the game right now, but the problem is that it matches up solo queuers with the pre-mades. That should hopefully be fixed once they put in the solo queue system and separate it. So for right now, I'll queue up in the middle of the night with like some really well-known players, and we'll go up against some players that are like, between rank 20 and rank 30 or so, and they get stomped on. And it's really, we feel bad. Like half the time we'll apologize. Like, I'm sorry for matchmaking. Like, I'm sorry this happened to you. They have made drastic improvements to the system, but it needs to be separated from being taken seriously at all. One of the main problems for PvPers right now is that if you don't want to solo queue into the team-rated queues, because again, it's all combined, you can literally do nothing but hot join. So if you care about leaderboards, if you care about having your name really high up there, you can't enjoy the game, and you find yourself sitting on the steps AFKing for hours. I was top 25 for a really long time until I realized I'm not having fun with this game anymore because I'm not playing. So I said, screw it, and we do what's called YOLO queuing, and you just queue up solo, and sometimes you face pre-mades, but that's what you got to do to have fun again, and that's what needs to happen. So once they separate it, I think a lot more people will be more interested in it. You'll stop getting stomped by pre-mades, and you'll have more of a chance of having good games.
It's interesting because when I asked that question about the in-game perks versus like out-of-game notoriety, somebody in chat I saw more than one sort of say like in-game, it's all about the in-game perks. And I find that really interesting, especially for PvP players to want the in-game perk rather than out of game. Because if you look at games like League of Legends and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, you have your elo rating, things like that. But really, at the end of a game, you don't have anything like new that you don't start with over in the next match with. So there's no like real perk.
Yeah, that's what I was saying for like the hardcore PvPers. Like PvP is really self-sustaining, I think, right now. Like, we don't care about, like, the only thing we have really to mark our improvement or our progression is like our new-looking fancy gear, which some people care about. I've been wearing the same gear for ages. Like, I don't really care about that stuff. It's hard to say. Like, the progression, it's difficult because the hardcore players are kind of fine with it right now. We do want that, or the players do want that notoriety. They do want to be more well-known. They kind of want to start moving up. But, again, the disconnect between PvE and World War players coming into PvP is just too great right now. There's no reason for them to come in and stay. I think I lost track of the original question there.
Well, I also I agree with you that there's probably not many of those players that necessarily care what their armor looks like, but there are some. And for those that care about the armors that they earned in PvP, they step into Lion's Arch and they look like a level 1 noob. I mean, that's got to suck, right? And they spent thousands of hours getting this really cool looking PvP gear, and it's not shown off anywhere. They can't even go into town and show it off. So that's definitely a problem.
And same for the reverse. I mean, obviously coming in like Greybox said in chat, you get your sweet legendary, whatever, Twilight I think is one of them. There, I feel very PvE knowledgeable right now. Twilight. So you have your Twilight, and you go rolling into the mist, and all of a sudden you're using default gear and you're rank 1. And all that effort you put in, however many hours is
That's
gone.
one of the things I constantly say in my videos. Constantly. I just can't stand when I go into PvP and just have nothing. I just have those garbage gear on. And I'm like, I have to play PvP. I have to play PvP. Because every time I go into a mini game, I have that gear, and I'm like, So yeah, I there's no legendaries in PvP, right? So, right, man, that would be awesome to swing around. Even though it kind of distracting, I kind of see why they don't put it in there. But yeah,
it's really weird to me. Like, it's really funny. Like, this is just an observation, so yell at me or whatever. But like, I hope this doesn't sound condescending or anything like that, because it's not intended to be that way. But like, people who like primarily PvE and like World v World stuff like are so into their character looks, and so some our PvPers are as well. But like me, like I'll make brand new characters just to try out like a build or a class. I don't care what they look like, and I'll play that character for months. Like I don't care if they look like level 1. Like it doesn't matter to me. But a lot of people have like some really crazy like it's almost like an emotional like sentimental attachment to their characters, and it really is jarring to go into another place in the game and could be naked essentially. Like you used to look so badass, you do one zone change, all of a sudden you're back to square one.
And I almost
but it's
wonder
hard
if
to
that's-
balance out though.
It does, and I almost wonder if what you're saying I think is absolutely true, especially in MMOs. And I almost wonder if that's part of the reason why not many MMOs have really, really taken off on the esports scene like other games that are specifically like esports centric. A lot of those types of players, like I think who are really hardcore, are just like you said. They don't care what their player looks like. They don't care about any of that stuff. They care about that other person on the other end of that keyboard and how I'm going to stomp them and knowing my abilities and being a better player. And that's all that they care about. So it is an interesting kind of like mix of having like those two things in one game. It's kind of hard to balance. How's the state of balance right now in PvP?
It's all right. It's definitely better than it has been in the past. I think we'll see. The next patch has been announced to be a balance patch. So we're going to be seeing a lot of changes. So it's going to affect PvE as well. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very cautious. I mean, we have heard the rumors that it's not a rumor anymore. It's confirmed that the Necromancer is going to be getting a new condition that'll be only solely for them. So they'll be interested to see how that plays into PvP. Balance patches are scary though, man. Let's be honest. Like things get nerfed, things get super strong, and then you're back at square one on some builds. It just really, I have Arena's done a really good job so far of just doing slight tweaks. It's been a long path, long road. A lot of things were really broken for a really long time, like Elementalist and a lot of other classes, or professions rather. But it's getting into a good spot. I feel confident.
What do you play, by the way?
I play engineer.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Yes. Were you expecting like Mesmer, a thief?
Yeah, exactly.
What were you expecting?
Well, if I'm from a PvE standpoint, I would never have guessed engineer.
Is it other than that good? Would you expect a warrior because those do all the damages in PvE?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like
I play
everyone
warrior.
Plays in warrior, yeah.
Yeah, I yes. Okay, I even know that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say this, but what we do sometimes is we abuse the Guild Wars 2 looking for group tool. We sign fellow players up for looking for one more for speed runs, even though they're not actually a PvEer. But I always see on those lists, basically it's to troll people so they get tons of group invites, whatever. Anyways, we always see like when I go through the list or whatever, I always see like looking for Berserker Warriors. We have 3 Berserker Warriors, easiest runs ever. Like it always comes down to the Warriors doing damage.
Yeah, 4 Warriors and a Mesmer.
Yeah.
Really, that's it?
For the speed run.
No Guardians?
COF. So for COF, yeah. That's all they do.
That's where you make the gold, right?
Yeah.
Look at that, man.
See, you're gonna learn on this show. We're
By
gonna compete with each other.
2016, he's going to be PvEing it up. He's like, I got a whole new game to play. All right,
I'm coming for your jobs, man.
Quit shoutcasting.
I'm going to switch it back over to PvE for a little bit and talk about some fractals. So they were talking about fractals in particular, and they talked about we talked about some of the problems in the past. Richie, what do you think of fractals? Would you like to see them continue this, or just kind of like stick to the regular dungeons at this point?
I think they're going to do both, and I think that's a good thing. If they want to do something like, they even hinted at what Matt was saying before, like the Molten Weapon Facility Living Story Dungeon was very well received. There were some really good ideas in there, and so Colin actually talked about putting a condensed version of that dungeon into as a random fractal, right? So if you queue up for fractals, you have a chance of getting that. I think those kind of things would be awesome. It's a good way to kind of put the work that they've already designed back into the game so that you can repeat it and stuff like that. But I also think that when there's something that's very story specific and they want to put a new dungeon in, that it needs to be out in the world and something that's not just a random chance to get in the fractal. So they need to do both. But I'm not opposed to them putting the old stuff back in there in a new format. I think that's a good way to preserve it and kind of shake things up a little bit, because it's you don't want to queue up for the fractals and get the same ones over and over again. So the more they put in there, the better.
What did you think about when he said, because he said any updates, any of the updates to fractals would actually need an update to include an update to the reward system? Is he just talking about new items, or is there something wrong with the reward system itself?
They were talking about, people were mentioning, hey, if you put the Molten Weapon Facility in, does that mean we can still have a chance to get that jetpack I didn't get? And he was clear to say, no, like those one-time rewards like that, they got to keep them special. They don't want to screw over the people that, ran that dungeon 100 times and made sure that they got it. But they would need to put some new rewards in to keep people interested and keep going in there. Because, the people that run fractals a lot or like the fractals, they have the 2 rings, right? They have the back piece all ascended. They've had that for a long time. Fractals came out in November. So there's nothing new on these vendors for people to get. So they need some new rewards to put in there for the fractal relics and stuff like that, for sure.
And there was also a hint that the Flame and Frost dungeon updated for size would make a pretty good fractal. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's the one I was just talking about. That's the Molten Weapon Facility.
Oh, it is, okay. Do you agree though? You think it'd make a good one?
Yeah, no, I think that one's one of the. That's probably the top thing that they would put back in. The boss fight was really great. Matt was talking about the tunneling. That was a cool part. The part that I hated was the rescuing the 10 slaves, because that just took too long.
Yes, it was too long. That's what I said in the beginning. That first part was amazing. You went inside of that the weapon facility, that little box, and then the flames were going across, and that was great. And it was very immersive, really, and we were kind of wowed by it. And then after that, it was just like, oh, okay, another hour of this, and then the boss fight was pretty crazy, I gotta say. And that's definitely, I know that was well received. The boss fight was there, but it was just too long. I think there needs to be a limit on that. And of course, the fractals, you're not going to be in that long dungeon for one fractal. So yeah, they're definitely going to condense that.
We're going to talk about, Colin Johanson talks about ore and some high level content. I want to throw this out to you guys like really quick and to sidetrack again, because I think this is interesting. Having Josh on is making me like ask questions and think about stuff. But what do you guys do? Well, the average Guild Wars 2 player, do you think that there's a lot of crossover between people who PvE and PvP? Or is it very separate, like how this panel is going right now, where you two guys are very PvE, Josh is strictly PvP? Like, I'm not putting Josh on the spot to ask him if he watches GuildCast, but do those types of, are those hardcore PvE peers watching even GuildCast? Probably not. And then vice versa, right? Like, is it almost like talking to 2 completely separate people on totally 2 separate islands?
I think so, man. That's why I was so keen on coming on. I think we can. I think it is interesting for a lot of people, both sides, and they're always kind of like, I don't know, they're interested. They're like, I don't know. It's like when your new neighbors move in, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to go talk to them or not. They look mean, and then you go talk to them. Actually, they're really nice guys. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, I really hope that, maybe just me being here, maybe people try it out. Like, I kind of want a PvE now. You guys talking about fractals, and I'm like, I have done level 4 fractals, and it was kind of fun. So,
well, I guess where I was going with it is like, do we do that? Do we bring everybody together, or do we separate it out? And all of a sudden, we have the GuildCast PvE show and the GuildCast PvP show every week. Like, that's.
I think
didn't we try that?
Sort of.
The problem is there's not a big PvP market right now, and again, it's a lot of like spike viewership on weekends and whatnot. They're good. It's good for events, but it's not good for sustained. I think the PvE crowd in this game is huge. PvP is unfortunately still small but growing. There was a quote from, I think, Colin a couple weeks back rather, that said PvP is growing about 3% per weekend. And I definitely see it in the mists. It's getting better, but it's I would say like probably like 90-10, man. Like, it sucks. Like, I see people in the mists, and I go into World v. World for like 2 minutes, and I see like as many people in the mist as I see in like a 10-foot radius in World v. World. Like, I'm like, oh my god, what are you guys doing over here? Get in the mist. It's PvP, and they're off, chasing rainbows and whatnot.
Because you're scary, man. You're just gonna like face roll me and just like totally destroy me.
I think there's more crossover between PvE and World versus World. I know a lot of players who do both of them.
That's what I was saying before. Like, it's when you're bored of PvE, you go straight to World v. World all the time. But I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. And I was going to also mention that while I don't do a lot of PvP, I watch the state of the game, and I watch these PvP tournaments. So it interests me to actually hear that side, but not necessarily to actually play it.
Well,
So.
I'm curious, just for like my own personal knowledge, what is the biggest thing that makes you not want to PvP? Or like, is it just the rewards, or is it daunting going in and facing people who might be, they just do this all the time? Like, what stops people from going in from your perspective?
For me, like, because I've been wanting to get into PvP. When I say I've been wanting to, and I go in there.
Why don't you just do it
and
though?
I try. I do. I jump in, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's like there's this random guy just sitting around, like, because we're all like most of the time we're all just sitting there, like, what do we do again? Okay, hold on. What's the best way to do it? What's the best build, right? Because meta is always changing, right? Mm-hmm. There's always something different, and then you go inside with your character, with your PvE build, and you go in there and you get worked really bad, and you feel like there's always someone better, and this is like, okay, I mean, that's for everything, but still, like, I feel like if there was a community around it, and maybe a site that you could go on to look up some builds or whatever, like, oh, here's some PvE builds. If you're playing an engineer, if you're playing...
We had a show called GuildCast, did exactly that.
what happened to that?
PvP didn't happen in Guild Wars 2 at the time, and it died, and so did the show. Badly.
Spectator mode, man. They finally got that in now. Oh,
it's good. It's definitely getting better. And there are some sites out there that are trying that. Miss League's coming up. They're still new. We're gonna be heading into our first week doing this week, actually, this Saturday. And they're going to try to have a lot of like the quote-unquote meta builds available for players to look at. I think on that note, though, I think ArenaNet actually has been doing a better job of actually updating your default build when you go into PvP is actually much more meta now, if you want to use that term. It's much more updated. Back in the day, I remember jumping in and like on my elementals, I remember being like a Berserker Amulet staff elementals with like 30 points in fire, and I'm like, I'm going to get wrecked. I'm not going to use this. And I tried it out just for funsies, and I got wrecked. And but they've actually updated. Like, Ranger now has like a trap build, which is very good still. It's not quite BM, but it was good. I haven't checked them out recently, but if they update those, it's going to definitely... it's good.
Can you go back to the default build if you've already mucked around?
I don't think... Well, the default build... Well, no, you can't. So you do lose that.
That's the problem. I mucked that up in September.
Yeah, that's gone. I got my PvE build in there. That's just garbage. It's like, what are you doing?
Bring your triple banner warrior in with there and see what happens.
I have my guardian.
I dare you.
So... oh yeah, right.
I've actually done the same.
I can revive people, guys. Got a little more banner down.
I've done the same thing that Matt said. That I know how to play my PvE build, so I brought that in a few times, and it's a vitality and toughness shout healing warrior, and I find that I can survive really well and do little else.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Sounds like a bunker
That's the
build.
bunker,
That's
right?
point.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. Look at this guy. He knows all the terms.
Oh, dude, I was watching the streams, man. I was watching the streams.
All right.
Like, I sometimes I'll be like editing a video, like, oh, let me put this off.
Yeah, I think there's a whole list of reasons, like some people in chat room are talking about like, the lack of progression. They feel like WW gives them like they can keep progressing and they don't have that in PvP. So I think there's a lot of different reasons, but you brought up a good point about it's like maybe somebody should make a website. Guess what?
Yeah.
As Gary looks into the camera.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Ad
Have
time.
you checked out Squarespace? Squarespace is amazing for making websites. No joke. Perfect time. So if you guys want to make a website, maybe somebody out there really wants to start a Guild Wars 2 website right now for your guild, or you want to do exactly this, maybe start making a build website. I'm telling you, Squarespace is phenomenal to do this. Their templates are just awesome. They look great, and it is super easy to use. We're building out a site right now with it. It's all mobile ready. The social interaction between YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and everything is all built in for you. It's really easy to use. And for those of you out there who maybe have some coding skills and things like that, and you actually want to get in there and dig into some of the code, you can do that too. The new engine of Squarespace has been updated not that long ago. It's pretty recent build, and they've really just revamped it to the point that you can do literally anything in there. I want to save you guys 10% off. Just go over to squarespace.com, sign up, make a new account, and use offer code Gamebreaker6. Going to get yourself 10% off on Squarespace. Love having those guys as sponsors. Seriously, somebody out there should do this. Make a website. Just doing builds. You're just doing builds. That's it, man. Bunker build.
Builds26.com. Because there's so many variations of Guild Wars 2 build, Guild Wars 2 builds.com, everything. Yeah, that needs to be there though. It really does. Just one site that everyone can go to. Make it happen. Make it happen. Grouch. Make it happen.
Not me, man.
Well, I mean, I definitely want to look into getting more behind some of the community of things that are going on with the Guild Wars 2 community, the PvP thing, because I'd love to be a part of helping it try to grow. Because I know right now it's small, and I know that it needs some help. So if there's anything we can do, we should definitely talk about like trying to get involved a little bit more and try and really start sponsoring some events and do some like some tournaments and things like that. Because I'd love to see it flourish. I mean, it seems like they are kind of getting on the right track at this point. So let's definitely talk about that.
I mean,
Colin,
it's cool to look at too. All right, go.
Mr. Johanson talks about ore, and he talks about high level content, more PvE stuff. First up, I'm going to throw this one to Richie because he's got the most amazing voice on the internet. Oh, I think we just lost Richie. Perfect.
Oh, snap.
Just lost Richie. Look at everybody's derped out. What up?
Oh, man.
All right, I guess I'm reading it. Here we go.
This is going to be good.
Colin said, we want champions to be more. How about I just be quiet? I get some Jeopardy music and you can read it. You can put the Gamebreaker song, you could read it. Yeah, if I read all this, I'm really going to be just completely destroyed. So he says that we want champions to be more rewarding. So players like Ore, South Sun events can scale up to create champions, become one of the more fun and rewarding places in the game to play, since events there can be champion on demand generators to an extent. Then he says we'd also like to tie in additional unique rewards to the temple chains to make those more worthwhile and differentiate them from the giant boss encounters, to give a reason to do it in each in a day. He says we'd also like to add more value and use the blue-green items. So things like killing vets feels more rewarding when those type of items drop when doing those events in Ore as well. And before we kind of get into all this, looks like Richie's left us, but I got to ask Matt. I mean, last week we heard hints that ArenaNet's solution to raiding was coming. Do you think that this has anything to do with it? Do you think this is it?
Well, you're talking about world boss rating. Mm-hmm. So just like random dynamic events with everyone coming in. Oh, you have your screen messed up. Oh, okay, that's why. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now on the screen. All right. Yeah. Well, world boss events. like I had some issues with this before because of when there's a lot of people in the same area, it becomes very laggy, right? So I really think that this can't. I don't know. It could work, and this will be more fun. You'll see, more commanders come into, or you can see them on the map, and they can kind of coordinate all the people to go to this boss and defeat this boss, kind of like what they do with Temple of Balthazar. So I can see that being raiding, and like anyone can just jump into ore and be like, here we go, here's raiding. If they fix the FPS lag and the optimization, I think it would be really cool. And the boss have to have mechanics. I feel like you can't just sit there and just spam one all day.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest complaints. No, and so if they do it right, I think they can pull it off. Balthazar in the beginning of the game, that was fun to run. I was like, oh, we're gonna, you see it in Lion's Arch. Oh, we're gonna run Balthazar. We're gonna go run Balthazar's temple and get because everyone was going for the Obi shards for their legendary back then, because there was only one way to get your Obi shards, and that was there. This is before Fractals and everything like that. So those were fun. Everyone was going there. Everyone's meeting up. Everyone's gathering together. We'll spam the waypoint in Lion's Arch. It was great. So as they add new expansions or new areas, and they have like a raid boss on that map too, and they have like a raid boss in, not every map, but every level 80 map maybe. As more level 80 maps come out, I don't know how they would do that because the whole thing with endgame, but yeah, I can see that working out really nice. Last up before we get out of here, Josh, what do you think? Looking at like things like patch notes and things like that, and obviously like, we cover a lot of the PvE stuff on this show. I don't know. Do you feel like the PvP side of the game is getting as much love as the PvE side, or is it slanted just like kind of the community imbalance as well between the different types of players?
I think that sentiment was pretty popular maybe a couple of months back, but recently, I think it's been pretty balanced, pretty equal. I would definitely say that there's more content that comes out for PvE side. But a lot of these balance changes that come in, which are really crucial to the game being healthy, have been pretty PvP orientated. And I think a lot of the world reworlders and the PvEers are kind of upset about that, but they're doing a pretty good job of balancing out like the splits, anyways, like how they like did save yourselves only and nerf in PvP rather than PvE. It was a good change, and they definitely said they want to start doing that moving forward. The content changes, or the content, I guess the content pushes have been a little bit slower though. Spectator and customs took a little cannot talk now. They took a little while to get out, but now that they're in, we're looking good. As long as we get solo queue in relatively soon, I think we'll be in a good spot.
And do you think that's the one thing that when they get solo queue in, do you think that will draw a lot of like ex-PvPers who may have left? Do you think they'll actually come back?
Not quite. No, I think ArenaNet needs to market the game, and there needs to be some other incentive tournaments thrown by ArenaNet, like something official. We had always heard about like the mats and the DATs, like the monthly automated tournaments and the daily automated tournaments that we thought the QP or qualifier points were going to be affecting, but we haven't seen those or heard anything about those. For anyone who's curious, daily automated tournaments, I think they're in Guild Wars 1, right? I don't really know anything about that. Guild Wars 1, anyone? No. Okay, anyways.
Sure.
So daily automated tournaments, basically you get qualifying points, and if you get enough qualifying points, you can play in the monthly automated tournaments, and then with those monthly automated tournaments, you can qualify for the yearly, which is like something like I think in Guild Wars 1 was a 100K prize pool. So once money starts getting thrown into the game like in a very serious fashion, I think it'll start taking off. Like the tournaments we've had so far. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's really the only time we've seen esports and like this competitive PvP play actually kind of really take off, right? Is when companies actually really fully get behind it, and usually that has prize pools attached to it. What was your opinion a couple of weeks ago when they actually launched spectator mode and how they did the whole thing with the custom maps and attaching it to the shop and coins and the whole token system and that thing? What was your opinion when that whole thing launched? Because that affects, I think, PvP in a very large way in esports in general.
Well, they need to be able to gather revenue from PvP in some way to incentivize themselves to want to develop it further. So they're gonna have to charge you for something. I don't know if have they made it available for everyone yet? I don't really actually know. I've had tokens and arenas for free since day one, unfortunately.
So did I. So I don't.
Oh wow.
I did
anyone, huh? Man.
No, I reached out to them and I was like, I'll make a video for this, to try to get some PvE people over there because I wanted to get in PvP myself, and I would, I wanted a little bit more. I expect, sometimes I expect too much, to tell the truth, and I need a little bit more instead, and that's what I was saying with the builds and everything. But yeah, and by the way, save yourselves. They better not nerf that PvE. Okay, I like my 20-something second save yourselves with all those.
I guess my initial reaction when we first heard about it was I was really curious to see how the PvP community took to it, because on the one hand you could say, yeah, they need to, monetize it in that way, but on the other side, it's like having you just play your game more consistently every day, all day, doing PvP matches and setting up tournaments and things like that. I don't know. I don't see other companies like charging you for that. Like, you don't have to pay League of Legends every time you want to like set up a custom map and a tournament.
Well, they kind of do though, because they tax you in other ways. That's a PvP only game. So they're billing you for your the IP that you put in the game. You have to buy every single one of your champions. And that all goes into the same game type. There's no PvE in that game. You don't get to go just farm Baron Nashor all day long. So in this game, it's all separated. So I think they kind of departmentalize their income and their revenue. So if people are buying the chests or whatever for PvE items, that doesn't really go into PvP's pockets. They can't really say that this item's doing so well we can afford to put these features up for PvP, because it doesn't really work that way. They need to be able to say we're getting this much revenue from PvP because of these things, and now we can justify and developing these features. So I'm all for. I'm all for. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what if they've done something like creating in not map changing elements to your personal maps, but I always thought that like if they sold flags and skins and changed different things where you don't change the layout for the strategy of the game, like all day long, I think people would have bought that stuff to kind of customize their own personal maps, and they could have sold like weather effects. They could have sold. I think there's a lot of like opportunity inside of those maps to actually sell different things that were just purely cosmetic items that people would have purchased.
That's an interesting idea. I don't know if like the hardcore PvP community would be down for that. Like, I don't think I would pay for rain. I don't think I'd pay for snow or anything like that. But there is a lot of stuff out there that could be having players pay for. I think this is just the beginning. Once we see the game start to take off, I think it'll pick up, and I hope they start putting more items in. Like, and a lot of the items that you can use in PvP and PvE, like I buy sometimes. Like, I want to buy the troll horn. I want to buy that just so I can hold my button down next to someone just annoy the crap out of them. Like, I want to buy that. So I guess PvP only items are good, but items as well that kind of mix between both are good too. It's unfortunate though that like that Mariner's horn, like when I buy that, it's not going to say like I'm from PvP only and I bought it.
To go back on what you were saying before though, like when you said you're so attached to the character that you have, right? And you kind of want the special stuff to carry over because you're so devoted to that character. You were saying that the thing is when you get like for instance.
Wow. The Matt's skin going on. I was ending the show, but go ahead.
Sorry. It's gonna be quick. Don't you know when you get like the wing cover, for instance, that you click it says, do you want it for PvE or do you want it for PvP?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you have to pick one or the other. It's like if they gave it for both PvE and PvP, I would have probably gone to PvP just to have it on my character because I'm so attached to my character. But yeah, go on. I'm done.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just think there's a lot more opportunity for them to monetize PvP, and that's been a big thing that I've been on for a long time. They're doing a better job of it. If they can just put more emphasis on getting things out for PvPers to purchase, I think they'll have more incentive to want to develop it.
All right, it's a pleasure having you on, sir. Gotta have you back for some more PvP talk. Josh Davis, follow him on Twitter at not that. Not coughing. You can read it.
Am I supposed to say it? At Groucheroo. There we go.
Groucheroo. There you go, right there. Matt Visual. Check him out on Twitter at Matt_Visual. Check out his YouTube channel as well. Always a pleasure, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And Richie, somehow he came back last second.
Sorry, my internet crashed. Sorry, guys.
Follow him on Twitter, Rich Procopio, and go over to his YouTube channel, Bog Otter. Thank you so much for dealing with this voice. We'll be back. I will actually not be back for next week's GuildCast. You will have a Mike Shaftnit for next week's GuildCast. So I'll be back in 2 weeks. But there will be a show next week. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week for some more GuildCasts.